then you have to do this way. That's the purpose of Viva, clarification is it's an oral examination is very important. So it depends. So like this morning, we have to ask a lot because a lot of things we are not understood because like examiners, first time we read the thesis and we have a lot of curiosity, a lot of question in our mind. Then until you can convince us, then only we can recommend that this is to be accepted. So we have now 12, including me, 12 participants.
We are also live on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I can see recording live on YouTube.
Yep. So that means I don't have to record, right? Me and technology, we don't go together. We hate each other like nobody's business.
So the viewers can listen again and again in the YouTube. You can repeat many times.
Yeah, I've already asked you to. Yeah, you can already share your screen. We're still quite early, so we will not start officially. Oh, we are on time.
Yeah, on time already.
Sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to today's session, which is going to be on a Sejahtera thesis. Kejap. Okay, apparently I can't do a few things at the same time, which is on the Sejahtera thesis from the eyes of the examiner. Technically, what we are doing is we want to take a look at what the examiner expects from your thesis. Yes, he will go through all the process at the kuliah, which the whole idea of our process is to prepare you for your thesis, for your viva, where the viva is the most important component of your assessment for a PhD. It is this viva that will determine whether you should be awarded a PhD or you should make a few corrections, then be awarded a PhD or not. So it's very important for us to see what the examiners expect. So as I said, before we start, I should start it properly. Let us recite Al-Fatiha first so that Allah will bless our sessions. Okay, as I was saying, at the kuliah level, as you go through the process, we ask you have to do coursework, where the coursework is basically attempting to help you getting prepared for your research journey. The research journey is not easy, so that's what the purpose of the coursework is to give you some guidelines toward that. When you go into research, you first have to do research proposal, and you have to defend the proposal, where we will introduce two internal examiners to check on whether what you are doing is something that can lead towards a PhD thesis or not. Then you will do a research, collect data, and write a thesis and submit it for a viva. In the viva, you will have one internal and two external people that have never seen your research before. This is the first time that they will see your research, and their job is to evaluate whether you should be getting the PhD or not. Okay, so today we are fortunate enough to have Associate Professor Dr. Suhaimi to be talking about what examiners are looking for. And as I was telling, if you joined us earlier, you would know that he's fresh from the oven. Okay, meaning that he just roasted some people, somebody today in the morning in a viva as an examiner. So let me pass the floor to Dr. Swaibi. It's all yours. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Azura, for this interesting session to have an audience with the student. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah. First and foremost, let us all express our gratitude to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to have this session for me to share my experience as an external as well as internal examiner. I'm not just external for other university, but also internal examiner for our own university. Okay, so the title of my sharing this afternoon will be Sejahtera thesis. So in the past just a thesis, but because of our framework direction of university on the Sejahtera, we're talking about the vision and mission of IOM to offer sustainable education. So therefore, it is not something new. For those who are new to IOM, it is not new to IOM. It is in the vision and mission of the university since in the inception in 1983. The outcomes of the university, the outcome of the university is that to produce people with balance, with holistic attributes. For me, people who can be the change agent to bring sejahtera, prosperity, justice, and peace to the society. And we are in the business of education. We're talking about Iqra. That is the foundation of IUM based on the first revelation. Iqra, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq. We are talking about increasing the understanding of human beings in line with the commandment or the requirement that Allah wanted us to understand. While we are giving our intellectual ability, reasoning, but the reasoning has to be guided with the revelation, because our reasoning has a limitation and subject to errors, bias, and also shortcuts and whatnot. Similarly, when we talk about research, we are having both the research, both qualitative. For example, in qualitative, we're talking about the qualitative assumption into our research, with the problems, with our understanding of the studies, and also the research design itself. So the Sejahtera require us not just to do research for the sake of research, but the outcomes of the research will make us a better person, ulul albab, people with more understanding, and then also we can help others to understand and also to get the benefit from the research that we conducted. Okay, so this is like what we see in the philosophy of national education, which is very in line with the human development, which is insan. We're talking about insan kamil, asani taqwim. So we change the term to reflect the term that we use in our society, in the Malay society with the term sejahtera. So we need to have a balance of human, in intellectual, physical, spiritual, and emotion. Ultimately, will not go against Allah, but will bring benefit to the humanity, by making themselves sejahtera, and when they are sejahtera, they can make contribution to the society, and they have their priority in their life. They are going to be the custodian, the protectors, and also the one that to preserve the important existence of humans. Human basic existence into the five maqasid al-Sharia, faith, the faith of human, the life, the intellectual, the lineage, and also the wealth of people, so that the world will be sejahtera, or peaceful, with prosperity, justice. This one just to give you an idea where this sejahtera comes from. And again, we have a framework called Sejahtera Academic Framework. So we are guided with our human existence objectives or Maqasid al-Sharia, with to protect our faith, life, knowledge, wealth, and also lineage. And then we will use this to guide us in materializing the vision and mission of the university. And therefore, for you, for students and also researchers, we should be in the business of education, learning process. Teaching and learning is our core business. Uh, uh, Regardless of our level, we are having learning, learning of different categories. And then we translate into our formal process, which is now in your case, PhD, into the formal academic program. Okay, and then at the same time also you have the non-formal curriculum and so forth that you have on campus. And then we also provide you with the support, with the facilities, administrative, with the like this session, this to provide the BR, to provide the ecosystem, so that you will be grown and developed according to the vision and mission of the university. The outcomes will be all of you, a graduate or PhD who are balanced will continue to serve others with better, with your knowledge that you produce. One thing, the thesis will be read by others, will benefit. And then when you are required to publish, right, publication again. More than that, you can also do knowledge sharing through other publication. Perhaps journal publication is limited to subscribers or certain people, so we can continue with other platform to share knowledge. So the knowledge business not just stop at the thesis or at the journals or articles, but we need to continue this agenda. Okay, Iqra agenda actually, Iqra agenda is in line with the knowledge business. Why we need to make sure that our thesis is sejahtera? This is my own thinking, as examiner. I say that because when we contribute to knowledge, knowledge is not just about information. Knowledge is talking about the minds, the working minds, and also the hearts, the qalbun, fikrun and qalbun, so that we can produce people not just knowing, but also they can practice in their life. So we wanted to have people who are peaceful and they can widespread the goodness of they have into their life. So that we're talking about in research, talking about research, we have the paradigms. We have positivist paradigm. We have constructivist paradigms and so forth. Whatever paradigm actually is, actually they are providing a thinking of people, of course a different scope of the thinking, but eventually they will make contribution that are beneficial to the human civilization. So these are the agenda of Sejahtera. Okay, back to thesis. So for many theses that I have read so far, the thesis from my days as student or PhD until now as examiner, thesis is always about argument. Every word, every sentence, every paragraph, every page, every single commas, every single full stop, full colon, semicolon, hyphen, parentheses or brackets, tables, figures, are all arguments. No single page in the thesis has no argument because you are not writing a novel, you are not writing a leisure book, but you are writing a thesis. A thesis basically a piece of argument, argument that contribute to the understanding of people in terms of knowledge, which is concepts, theory, uh, and also they can give us an insight how we can practice into our life, you know, as managers, as workers, as whoever we are in the practical field, in the field work. And also contribution to the custodian, you know, the custodian of the human society, like the policy makers, right, the industry, governors, and so forth. They are the one who have force, who have influence in the human society and human civilization. And the next in this is also we would like to have the evidence, the empirical result from the study. The thesis a piece of argument writing. Argument, you know what argument? Anyone knows what is argument? You know how to argue? People quarrel. When people quarrel, they are arguing. They are not happy. This way, that way. That is argument. But of course, in argument here, not to fight, not to accuse, but rather to show people that this is the truth. This person has a truth, but I have another way to look at the truth, to look at the context. So we're talking about, let's say, we're talking about human contribution to the performance of organization. So human is what? So what is the argument about the human? The behavior, what kind of behavior? The productive behavior of human contribute to the performance of organization. So the argument here is about the productive behavior. So what kind of productive behavior? So the productive behavior that we argue is not the first time in the world that we already had that thinking. Whatever we had, new thinking, new something that we want to argue, it is not the first ever in our life that we are the first one to argue and the rest of the humanity have no such argument. They already have. But what we want is that we have to arrange the argument according to the scope, the contribution that we wanted to make. And therefore we are looking at the empirical. Empirical means the evidence. Evidence, what people have done in the past, for example. What are the evidence in the reality? So we study, okay, because we are not the first one. We are not even you claim that this is the first in your country, but this is not the first in the world. Nothing in the world that considered as you are the first person to think, and therefore we don't have such studies done by others. Okay. So far, okay, this is about argument, collection of argument. You have to have the argument. That's why you have the theory. You have your hypothesis. For quantitative, you have the statement of proposition and so forth. You need to have that. You have to show that the reality, the problem exists. And now, why is that this problem exists? Because you are looking from this argument, other people looking from another argument. It can be the same reality, but people looking at from different perspective and different argument. Therefore, us, business administration, our scope will be within the business administration. Even though we say our business administration is a multidisciplinary. We have sociology, psychological contribution, but they are not actually sociology. They are not psychology. They are not even education, but they are, we call them, the contribution that already made into the business administration. Okay, from planning, organizing, leading the basic, basic management function. They themselves also not actually from one discipline, multiple discipline, due to the various contribution that people made. And then the thesis also is focus. That's why I always emphasize that in any thesis we need to have focus. We cannot We can't afford to go anywhere that we like, and we don't solve the entire world problems. Of course, the world have a lot of problems, but we are going to contribute in detail, in a great detail about we deal into the problem and then provide we don't provide the solution for them. That will becoming consultation. We are not providing consultation to them, but we are providing the knowledge. We provide knowledge so that with the knowledge will allow them to enhance into uh, experiments, into other what call studies and so forth. So that's why very important to create the knowledge so that people will get insights and also perspective about their life. If you do everything, and people cannot learn. Everything you want to include in your write-up, then people cannot see what is actually the contribution, and therefore nothing that you can make. Because that's why we need to have the focus. All right, so far, are you okay with this concept of a thesis? Okay, thesis. Anyone have problem? All right, let me continue. All right, when I receive ex-examiner, normally before they appointed me as examiner, they will send, they will send an abstract to ask me whether I am interested to be the examiner. So I look at the topic, I look at the abstract, and I can get an understanding, okay, whether or not that particular topic and also the abstract is within my research interest, research expertise, and also I have uh, ability to contribute to the research as examiner. Okay, so that is the first step. Yeah, they will send topic and abstract. Similarly to us also as a supervisor, if we wanted to nominate examiners, we also do the same thing. We will send out abstract and ask them whether or not they're interested to be our excellent examiner. Okay, the next step, once we receive the full thesis, whether it is online or hard copy, quickly, for me, I will go to the references. Do you know why we will go to the references? Anyone knows why references? We don't look at chapter 1, we look at chapter 2, but we go straight to references after topic and abstract. No, no idea. Why references?
Doctor, to know how many current references means the latest citation, is it?
Okay, that one is technical, more technical. What is the more on the substance of a thesis? Remember, thesis is about I call a PhD thesis is about argument, right? It's about
Yes.
argument. It's about scholarship. Yeah. So where else we can know you belongs to which scholarship, which school of thought? I do not know the school of thought, but the moment I look at the references, oh, I can see, who are the main, we call the lead scholars that you cited. Yeah, lead scholars doesn't mean that must be Adam Smith. There doesn't have to be Adam Smith or Joseph Schumpeter, or John Maynard Keynes. Those are too ancient. But if we can see, the commonality among the references. One, the authors. Number two, the kind of journal that the student cited. That's why we are talking about index. And we're talking about index journal, WOS, Web of Science or Scopus, because these journals are very high, what I call high standard. They are with rigorous review, and also they are cited by the scholarly audience and readers. They are not by the anyone in the street. So then, okay, then I can easily know you belongs to which school of thought. This is very important to I call to group you. Either you belongs to the school of the mainstream or the school of the peripheral or the non-mainstream. This one you don't have to worry. We don't reject you because you belongs to the other group, but we just wanted to ensure that you belongs, you have your club. To accept people into PhD mean we are going to see whether or not you are eligible to be accepted into the school of thought of your research. That's why we look at topic because we want to see whether the topic has contribution or not. Abstract will give us the gist, and references will give us the scholarship, scope, and also the scholarship area of the research. This is the thing. So you also can do the same thing, because once you already become a competent scholar, you'll be invited to read a thesis. This also will be the same guideline. Once again, this is all about argument and thesis. I don't have much experience, but these are the university that I thank also to Dr. Azura for recommending me to many of these university. Otherwise, nobody knows me. Nobody knows because I didn't have much networking. I just stay in the University Gombak campus. I participated in conferences, but not to the extent that meeting with scholars. All one thing good, one thing conferences in Malaysia presented by all by the research students, rarely by the scholars. Alhamdulillah, with her connection with some of these university, and then we have the snowballing effect, because you did one, and then the others will recommend you to another person, other person recommend you to another, and this is why I developed this what I call connection with many university within the Klang Valley. All right. So when you're becoming, examiners, you of course you can be selective. Or I belong to qualitative. I just wanted to read qualitative, because as a researcher, as a computer researcher, you're supposed to be able to read both, both type of paradigms, whether it is qualitative or quantitative, because they are talking about one thing, one common thing is about the thesis argument. Whether you are in the quantitative, whether in the qualitative, one thing common, you are talking about argument, you have to write argument, you have to present the argument, and of course the way you write will be different, but one thing is common is that there is a thesis, there's argument that you have in the thesis. So in my case, of course, not many actually qualitative thesis that I received. Most of them are in the quantitative. Student in Malaysia, they love what? They love SEM, they love smart PLS and whatnot. These are the favorite, tool used by the student, and they love to use intention. Intention all the way, theory of planned behavior, theory of reason action. The moment I look at the topic, I know already this thesis will have a lot of underpinning theory related to TPB and also TRA. No problem. So we are examiners. Our job is that to make sure that the thesis is meeting the qualitative, what I call the PhD requirements. PhD requirement mean you have thesis, you have contribution, and then you have the argument, and then you have you follow the certain you follow the coherent way of presenting your argument. The word coherent, you have coherent mean it is what called the write up. It is logically flow very well. We can read and then we can follow. You don't have to use bombastic words, in thesis, because if you use bombastic word, then people couldn't understand. At the end, people will make all kind of interpretation from your words. You better use the word that is direct and focused to your study. All right. The more important thing, anyone who can read your thesis after you submitted, for after you graduated, you submit, and everyone can read because everyone will refer the thesis in the library. Yeah. Or for if you make it book, it will be better. More audience can be read. But if you put in the library, there's only those who are accessible. They can access to the thesis collection. Okay, these are the basic convention that we have in thesis. You have a topic and then you have the abstract. In our university, we have English and Arabic. But other university, local university, they have Arabic, they have English, and also they have the Malay. When you have different languages abstract, make sure they are consistent. They are the same. Even though you written in Arabic, don't be what you call taken for granted, as if people don't know about Arabic. Because of course perhaps the examiners do not know about Arabic, but the readers later on will read in the Arabic will be not appropriate, especially in IOM. Our thesis, even though in PBA business, but our language, that we use also English and Arabic. Okay, and then of course the format of table of contents, and then the arrangement of this follow the line of argument of a thesis. We start with the problem, which is the introduction, with the ontological aspect of the thesis, and then the literature review, the study on studies, what people have done in the area of your concern or of your research. We call the epistemology. And then for those in the quantitative, this way you will develop your hypothesis. Hypothesis development is very important to show the contribution or the gap after you do your literature review. Once again, I emphasize literature review, not annotated report. If you read from one article and then you summarize the key points and then you compile all the key points and you report in your thesis and literature review, no, that is not literature review. That is just we call annotated report. Why annotated? Because you refer to literature but you didn't do critical review of the literature. How to know whether not critical or not? How to know exhaustive or not? It's subject to the topic and the scope that you define later on, the operational concepts, etc., that you already identified in your chapter 1. In chapter 1 is very crucial because you will tell people what actually do you want to do with your study. Research objective. Research objective must be clear what actually you want. Of course, when it comes to PhD, we are not just looking at you to determine or to identify, okay, or just to qualify, but we are looking at the more high order thinking. That's why certain words will be reflecting. This word reflect quantitative, and so examine, determine. For qualitative, we have our verbs to determine. This is qualitative research objectives. Okay, and these two are very important. The problem, the problem, and also the study that have been done by others, and then what is the new gap that you wanted to make. And the rest are technical. Methodology is to tell people how to collect your data. You need to have your research design. You need to make sure that your instruments are trustworthy. Mean to say that your instruments have been validated, have been approved. And then you need to make sure that you have done the pilot test. You have sufficient, you have done the sampling, the proper sampling method. And then you already have obtained the informed consent from the participants or from the informants that you have. If you are unit analysis organization, you need also to get the approval from the organization. So the methodology is what we want to see. How are you going to do the field work? And this is should be what I call replicable. People can replicate. People can follow you step by step. If people cannot follow, if people cannot replicate, means that the methodology is not sufficient. Yeah, it is not clear. Yeah. However, methodology is not like rephrase or rewrite the research methodology book. Many students, they love to rewrite. They define what is methodology, what is research design, what is philosophy, what is paradigm, what is the nature of research. Oh, so that is not, that one is you are refreshing the textbook. What we want you to tell us, how are you going to collect your data in order to answer your research question and also to fill the gaps of in that you already hypothesized. Okay, and then you have to present your findings. Chapter 4 will be the presentation of the findings. Another thing that we are looking at, every aspect is about argument, not just to plug the figure, plug the statistic, put there, and then put the label table 1. Table 1 show the means and also the standard deviation. So from the table we find that the result are acceptable because the mean is considered acceptable. Standard deviation also acceptable. This is not argument. There is no argument. There's no argument. So the question the examiner will ask, so what? So okay, I can see the table. I can see you mentioned that the standard deviation, the means. Then what is this? Yeah, what is this all about? You must present according. What is the method of you to present your findings? Are you going to present according to the items in the questionnaire, or are you going to present according to the research question, or are you going to present according to the objective words? If so, and then why you choose to present that way? Okay? And then you can combine as a discussion, or you can separate into another chapter for discussion. This discussion will be, it's not literature review. Many candidates, they make it this discussion another literature review. They're still quoting, they're still citing the old references. Whereby the logic is that this is the current findings. All right, they should be related to the current finding as well. So you need to, all right, you found this, actually this is not something that, this is something that only you found it, others also found, but the way you found it is into this context, but others who found the same in different contexts. And therefore you can say that contextual also have a role to have a different result in the findings. Okay. And then always, this is the scholarship, the highest level of scholarship, and relate back after the end, relate back what actually that in your hypothesis, which is your research framework, and relate back what will be happen after you run the analysis. Will be the framework the same, or the framework going to have some item will need to be removed due to the not supported, by your findings. And then finally, the conclusion. Once again, conclusion is not a collection of summary from all the chapters. Another mistake that candidates love to do, they compile all the summary from each chapter and they put like a grand summary, into their conclusion. So you are not talking about the grand summary. You are talking about conclusion in your research. So just like people asking you, tell me in one sentence about your thesis, in one sentence. But dear, tell me, what is the conclusion of your research that you have done for 3 to 4 years? So what is that? So the conclusion will need to capture the contribution that you have made. Once again, I mentioned the word contribution. I mentioned the word thesis, argument. All these about the new thing that you have in your thesis. References, yeah, I already mentioned, no, references are very important. You need to have some university, they have this ratio, 70-30, yeah, 70% very recent, and then you can have 30% not recent. You can have um, citation from very old citation, no problem, but they make it at 30%. 70% the recent means within 3 to 4 years from the date of the research. Let's say now 2021. So the article that you cited should be between 2008, 2009, and 2020, or perhaps they can also allow 2017. Should be this the in terms of numbers. How many? Is it going to be 100 references, 200 references? It depends. It's not to say that you must have 300 or 500. Depending on how you exhaust your literature review. And then everything that you have in your research, especially the methodology, the letter of inviting others, the research permit, the cover letter, the instrument, the protocol. If you have translation, show us the translation appointment, okay, and then how the translation been done, a sample of translation that made by others, and then if you have a validation, how you approach the people to validate and how actually they did the validation, and then we're talking about the we need to tell us where do we keep our data. We cannot just, many students, when I ask this question, where do you keep your data? In our laptop, in our cloud, in our desktop. It is not, it is not, because this research that you do under your formal program, everything is formal. Okay? Nothing it is informal or it is personalized. Everything is formal. Even though you can store the data in your laptop or desktop, but you need to tell in the in the methodology, but the data will be kept by the school or by the university according to the procedure of the data keeping and so forth. There must be, especially IOM. We have ISO, we have the regulation. It is more, you don't have to mention the process or this, just enough to mention the data storage follows the university regulations and procedures. Enough. People won't ask you anymore. But more important thing, everything they conducted, you must show in the appendix evidence. But don't just put into appendix, but you don't refer. Remember, you have to refer back in your chapters. Refer, so that when people look at in your writing, refer appendix 1. Then we can go to appendix 1. Refer. Okay, then we come back to the chapter. We wanted to have the evidence. All right. Similarly, in the qualitative also, we need to also have evidence, more evidence to be put in the appendix. Okay, this you have to acquire. The writing you have to acquire. No one can teach you writing at this stage. Of course, we can coach you, but to write an argument, you have to follow this format. This one actually basics 101 English essay composition writing. Very simple. In any essay, there will be the introduction, there will be the body, and also the conclusion. What do you have in the introduction? Will be the thesis statement. What do you have in the body? We have the topic sentences. This is also the same. Whether you write 1-page essay, whether you write 30 pages of essay or 300 pages of essay, writing must follow the paragraph writing, not one full A4 page or 2 pages, just long paragraph without any indentation, without any paragraph. That is bad. You know why? Because when you have long paragraph, we do not know where actually the paragraph will end. And then you tend to have many ideas in the long paragraph. So the requirement of in English writing, just to have few lines in one paragraph without ignoring the basic component in a paragraph. Topic sentence, explain the topic sentence, give example or give citation, and then you have the concluding remarks for that paragraph. And then the concluding paragraph actually to bring people to give a hint to the next paragraph in the writing. We call signpost. Okay, signpost mean okay, you end the concluding remarks of your paragraph. Actually, you are giving signal for people to move to the second paragraph, and then the second paragraph to third paragraph, and then you can stop, for one particular subsection. Okay, don't have too many paragraph until readers lost. Readers we have limitation, because if too many words, and we will be lost in the jungle of words, and therefore we are humans. We unable to see the coherent in your idea. Therefore, we will not be able to accept the argument. We will recommend not to be wordy and to rewrite again, not to be long-winded, not to have long paragraph. Okay, must be the reasonable paragraph that can be easily understandable by normal ordinary readers. Okay, we don't ask people to apply whatever technique of reading scheming or whatnot. No, we are not that. Remember, writing thesis is not just one page, 100 of pages. All right, and then learn about the citation and referencing. Learn from citation. We have APA citation, how to cite, and then use the argumentative words. Not all the time according to. Not just all the time argued. Not all the time contended. No, there must be certain arts that apply. For this way we use according to. Okay, and then the other way we use the parentheses. Those have the meaning to emphasize of the argument in your write-up. Okay? And then some the thesis that I observe, they love to mention most studies, and then only one citation. Many researchers or many studies found this, but only one person, only one citation. It doesn't make sense. This one is talking about plural. You should have plural mean should have three, 3 or 4, but not too many, but not to like a few lines of citation. All right. All right, this is another guideline, some guideline given for how actually we should look at as examiner. More or less the same guideline. We're talking about what actually you are making for the contribution of your study. Okay, I think I better stop here. Thank you very much. Perhaps you have a question that you can ask, so you get more understanding by asking question. Thank you very much.
Before you start the question and answer part, is it okay if I just interject?
Yes,
the
please.
Methodology chapter. For proposal defense, it's present tense. I will be doing this, I will be doing that. For Viva, you have to, for the Viva, the tone have to change to past tense. Yeah. I did this, I did that. Am I correct, Dr. Swaini?
Yeah. Already passed.
Yeah, already passed.
Yeah.
And it's no longer useful for you to just say these people suggest, say for example, you're arguing about paradigm, you say that there's positivism, there's constructionism and whatnot, and you keep arguing what's the difference between the two. It's already passed. You have chosen a paradigm.
Yeah.
You have to explain why you chose that paradigm. Initially, you acknowledge there's two paradigms. Okay. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't rewrite the textbook in the methodology.
Yeah. You explain the paradigm that you have chosen given the research design that you have chosen. Okay. Any question? Oh yeah, the point that Dr. Hasrami made, I think there's about two that I remember, very important point. The first one is you saying that no research has been done in this area. Have you read the world's library? That's usually my answer to student. Have you read that work that's written in ancient Latin that talks about that area? If you have read it, then you say no research, it's okay. If you haven't read it, you cannot say no research has been done.
Yeah.
What's the word that we should use?
In the Latin, the Hebrews, no?
Yes, that very ancient one, who knows, they may be talking about that.
They have discovered a lot.
They have discovered a lot. If you've just read a minor portion of IUM library, do not claim that there's no research that have been done.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
that's not the way. The other thing that you mentioned that I always hit my own student on is you claim many researchers say, and then you cite only one researcher. That is one researcher said, not many researchers say.
Accent, a plural.
Betul. And I would always, I normally say, if you want to use the word many, it should be around 5 researchers. Okay,
Yes.
and it should be different years if the topic or the area is something that have been researched for a long time, and it also be cited from credible journals.
Yeah.
The ISI, the Scopus, the whatever it is, not the journal that only appear in certain countries. Okay, if you're going to use a few researchers, then between 2 to 3 lah.
3 years.
But if you want to use the word many, is 5 lah. 5 to 7 okay lagi, but not such a long list. Not just one.
But sometimes many authors, they say only that's counted as one. Some students say, hey, many what? Yeah, only one.
Yeah, do not cite the same author. That's not many. That's one author who are writing the same topic again and again and again. Some students write, Smith A, Smith B, Smith C. You're still talking about one researcher who's talking about that thing, and that's not many. Many means multiple researchers.
Yes.
Okay. Any question?
Hello, can I start with question?
Yes, please.
Prof, Amir here.
Yeah, Brother Amir.
So, based on your experience, Prof, what is your longest time, viva time, when you examine the student? And how many have you failed the student or resubmit? And why they fail?
Okay. Today is longest from 8:30 until 1:30. But previously from 2 until 6 from the same university also.
4 hours.
Why is that? Because the management of the Viva in that university, they follow chapter by chapter. Another university, they don't go by chapter. They go by what are the main issues or main concern of the examiners. So it becoming short. It could be just 1 hour, finish. But the university that using the chapter by chapter, they tend to have longer hours. Very quick, about 2 hours. The maximum like happened today, 4 hours. That is the, and then yes, we have problem when actually examiners, we do not want to fail people actually, and we also do not want to make you have to revive or to resubmit. We do not want to do that. Yeah, our first intention, we wanted you to pass. But because we also have to fulfill our responsibility, because we are the custodian of the thesis, and that we collectively, no, not one person, no, collective decision from the committee, and we decided that that particular thesis to be revival and resubmitted. For me, so far, not many, I can't remember how many. I think only one in my experience, only one. That because another examiner found plagiarism. And then the particular examiner can show the thesis and also the article exactly copied word by word. That one, no consideration. Straight away, we just stopped we didn't have any viva. The committee just said, we just failed the student because of plagiarism. Nothing else, just plagiarism. But if you have problem with your writing, we are very nice people. Examiners are very nice people. If you writing very, a lot of grammatical errors, but you still have meaning, we are not going to fail people because of the poor writing. But we are very unable to accept when we have the plagiarism. Alhamdulillah, now many university already require you to submit the turn it in. And then you need to get certain like IUM not more than 20%.
24.
24%. Certain university, they allow for up to 25% or 20, it depends. But again, try not to try to use the argument. If you are on argumentative writing and paragraph writing, you won't have this problem actually. You don't have the plagiarism problem. And for me, almost all the thesis that I examined, we pass them, either we minor or major. So we have good intention, all examiners that I had in my experience, all examiners have good intention. We don't want to read thesis with the intention to fail student. No, we don't have that. And also myself been trained in my alma mater also, my supervisor also told me, the first thing first, when we receive any thesis, we must have good intention. Intention means we wanted to accept the thesis. But however, we have to be responsible also. If they are not up to the mark, so we have to tell them. And of course, we don't just tell, this is not up to the mark. No, we have to provide the what called the detail, actually. That's why becoming very long, because we have to show to student, this way is not acceptable. Why? Because there is no argument. So how to make it argument? You have to put the topic sentence. So how to put the topic sentence? Look at this argument that you have written. So what actually the commenting, and then if the comment, put there as argument. That's why, becoming like, a coaching session, because we want to be constructive. We don't want the supervisor later on to figure out what to do. That's why we have to settle, at the viva, so that the student won't be penalized, to find out what actually, to make correction, because we have a time frame. We are given 3 months, 6 months, etc. We don't want you to continue without any time frame, to do the correction.
I have a question for you. Have you ever been in a viva where, based on your thesis evaluation, you want to give the student one sort of result, maybe a minor, but after the viva, you change your mind to give the student a major?
Yeah, after listening to our panels of viva committee, so we discussed, and then because the other panel pointed out very important issues, so we also open. We open to the opinion of others, and of course the chairman also will play the important role. But for me, I'm open, because when I read, my reading is not I miss certain thing, and then others pointed out. So we accept, because we are in the business of truth. We are not perfect. That's why we need the committee. The committee actually helping me as supervisor also to look at areas that we might be missing in our analysis. for me, every thesis is new experience to me. No such thing that I already examined certain number of theses, the rest will be easy. Every research is unique to me. Every research, every thesis is a new thing to me that I open I have my evaluation, and then when people can show me that these are the things that need to be also their concern. So we collectively accept. Initially we are giving minor, let's say minor, two people giving minor. Suddenly we have one person give major, or perhaps to the stage of resubmission, and then we have to look at also what actually the concern. But if the concern about writing not coherent and the person give resubmission, we raise our objection also to the chairman of the Viva. We say that those concerns from our fellow examiners actually more on writing. Writing can be improved, but the substance is there, and therefore it is not up to the resubmission. Again, then we discuss again, the reconciliation with all the panels, and the chairman, sometimes the chairman make decision, okay, after listening to you and also your earlier verdict, and now I think we should go for this verdict. Then of course now the chairman need to get agreement from all. The chairman role is able to get agreement from all, because at the end it is a collective verdict. It is not just me, one person. That's why we call doctoral committee. It is not one person. So at the end, the committee will be, the chairman will sign and submit. Then we also sign the form of the verdict.
Okay, let me just highlight how the Viva in IUM works. It's like what Dr. Swami is saying, but most of the time, the power to decide or the decision-making power goes to the two examiners. So if you have two examiners who says a major, one examiner says a minor, probably it's going to be a major. Okay, nobody else can question the examiner's decision. Okay.
Yep. But
Any
again,
other
the chairman can
suggest,
ask,
yes.
can suggest, or can request the examiners to reconsider. But again, it's up to the examiner. If the examiner stick to that, then they have to follow. Yeah. Sometimes among examiners also will have different. They will try to convince another examiner. It's also happened.
Tu pening tu.
Another examiner, no. I think you should. But then the chairman will come. What actually the issue that you highlight? What actually the issue? Can you come to this? Can you come to this conclusion? But if they stick, perhaps the chairman will look at. They might want to look at, let's say, two major, one minor. Of course, at the end will be major. But sometimes you have minor, and one person major, and at the end could be also major, the entire thing. But look at the issues, but early verdict will be based on the individual. But at the end will be the committee, the overall verdicts of the committee.
Any other question?
Prof. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people say that quantitative research is simpler when you do Viva. So as examiner, how do you see? Is there any difference between quantitative and qualitative? Because quantitative is numbers, so the result is clear. But qualitative, they say more arguments. So from examiner point of view, whether it's just the same or they're different between
I'm just gonna just jump in first. It's not as easy as that. Dr. Sami, take over.
This morning is quantitative. 4 hours. I used to have qualitative only 1 hour. So how do you tell me, brother me? Quantitative 4 hours, grill the student. Why? Because numbers are not giving any argument. If you present me the numbers, I say, what is this number all about? I cannot read any voice. I wanted the argument. All right. you can copy your SEM, model, put there, first order, second order. I said,
Third
so
order
what?
and whatnot. Yeah, so what?
What is this first order,
What's the
second order?
point?
What is this,
You can test anything. You can even test the cat is orange or not. You can test that. But what's the point? What is your issue if the cat is orange or not? Okay, I mean, from my because I may not have been as examiner for a lot of times, but I've seen in so many vivas. The recent one that I've sat in was a quantitative viva resubmission. Why? Conceptual framework is wrong. Literature is wrong.
Yeah, that is the core of a thesis. If you don't have literature, then what is the contribution that you want to make? And of course, the contribution cannot be totally new.
Of course, it's not such thing.
It has to be based on others. Cannot be just totally new.
I would say the emphasis of qualitative and quantitative is different. Emphasis of quantitative is for you to build a solid literature and then for you to test the thing that you have defined in a literature, meaning you have to develop your conceptual framework, you have to develop your hypothesis, explain why you develop this hypothesis instead of that. And you have to, if you're going to be using a mediator or a moderator, you have to explain why you want to use a mediator and why you want to use a moderator based on the literature. It must be backed by the literature.
Yes.
Qualitative, the literature itself can be a little bit loose. It doesn't mean that you don't need to have a solid literature. You just don't have a solid framework. That's it, because it's driven by the data. Am I correct?
Yeah.
It's your data that have to be
Yeah.
rich, that basically tells you the story that will shock people. I don't know, that will entertain people, that makes a difference. So the emphasis is different. Which is more difficult? It depends on what is your preference. You like what, Dr. Saimi? Qualitative?
Well, for me, when I have qualitative, I enjoy the reading, a lot of reading. But when when quantitative, when I see numbers, I don't see the word. I started to keep asking the student, what is the argument in this?
Precisely.
Because I don't see any argument. You only show me the very beautiful SEM figures, no? So what? I'm not interested in the diagram, in
Yeah,
the table.
precisely. I prefer qualitative too. It's more interesting to me.
Yes, we because the expression and the words that make us. But of course, when come to this quantitative is scientific. Nothing much they can what call express. Basically, all already confirmed, in the literature. But this one is qualitative. We have story. We have story that make us feel we are more to the context, rather than just very general, like we are far. Of course, the nature of positivism, we have to be, we cannot attach, the researcher and the research are separated. But when you are in the collective, you explore and then you express yourself into the research. More interesting, but again, I accept whoever asking me to examine and fall into my interest, and then I can contribute from, especially for me, I I wanted to contribute on that, on the writing argument, and also the what call it, ethics in the methodology. So this is the area that always loose, in the student thesis, very loose, especially on the ethics. I think because in Malaysia we are not trained, to follow the research ethics, but in the West, in the Western world, they're very particular about the research ethics, until we have to pass our research ethics, then only we can. It's not the proposal defense is the important. The important is to get the approval of the research ethics committee, because our proposal will be evaluated by the committee of ethics, not among the faculty members. In my alma mater, the ethics committee are from the public, from industry, from the NGO, among the priests, among the whoever the relevant to the study. They will give their approval, whether to give approval or not to the research. It's very important, about the trustworthiness of the research.
Is there any other questions?
Your shortest Viva session, Prof?
Once again?
Shortest Viva session.
Oh, I already mentioned about half an hour.
Is
Half an
it
hour.
here?
I think here. Half an hour,
Is
right?
it my student?
I think half an hour.
Yes,
Who's student?
it's my
Half an hour.
student.
Yeah, half an hour. I think.
Yes, half an hour.
Yeah. The shortest one, I think. Not other place. In our place, half an hour.
What's her name? What's her name? I can't remember what's her name.
I think that is,
Rasbin, right?
Yeah. Rasbin.
Yeah, it's Rasbin.
Yeah, Rasbin. Very.
Yes.
MashaAllah, like almost perfect. She put no question for the examiners, but just keep praising, the thesis. They learn a lot, they were very good writing.
But the trade secret, she had 3 mock vivas with all the supervisory committee. That's why she did very well in the viva.
Okay, half an hour. cannot believe it. No more question for the examiners. Everything done.
Yeah, we really hit her hard during her mock viva. Alhamdulillah. I mean, I know she was very happy, jumping up and down after the viva because of that. I do remember meeting her at CPS.
The shortest my experience, half an hour. And I can say the highest and almost perfect quality of thesis. I think Brother Amir should emulate that sister, Dr. Rasbin's thesis.
So happy to hear that. It's my student. Oh, I'm one of the supervisors.
I remember half an hour, yeah. Just half an hour.
Any other question? I do have one more question that I want to ask you, and this is perhaps say applicable to students who are doing proposal defense as well as Viva, talking about the way the students should present themselves. Okay, whether does that make a difference how you present and how you project yourself to be in a Viva proposal defense situation?
I think become like tradition. No? They are asking the student to present in 20 minutes. Then after that, what they ask nothing to do with what they presented. I'm not sure what is the rationale of the 20 minutes presentation, but we didn't ask anything about what the student presented. Some of the session that I related back to what they presented, but again, because the nature of that we tend to follow the structure, the reporting structure that we already made. The presentation just like to give an idea, orally, but more important thing how you are able to answer the question from the examiners. But again, the presentation gives some highlight also, good, the 20 minutes to give a highlight. But again, the rest also will be the oral session with the student. That one took hours in the session, especially when the session follows the structure of chapter by chapter. In the chapter by chapter, we don't look at the presentation anymore. We just go by the chapters.
I have been in Viva examination where the examiners, for example, they attack the student. Well, not really attack. They sort of like poach on the student. I just wonder whether it's because the behavior of the student itself, and I've seen this a few times.
I have no idea about that because
When the students become very defensive, for example.
one thing that the student need to be to behave in the Viva session, you have to be open-minded, and you don't you don't express your openly disagreement with your examiners, because they are giving their opinion. At the same time, also they will determine your results. But if they ask you to clarify, you just clarify. If they are not satisfied, they will ask you to ask again, to explain again, and then that's it. And then after that, they won't ask you. But I think if you start to disagree with what the examiners ask, normally what the student will do, in many Viva session, we will discuss this with our supervisors, on these issues. Perhaps I have that in my thesis, but not clear to you. But we will look at that, to incorporate what your concern. That is it's logical, right? Because people in that session, if you starting to disagree, of course, you already have the whole luxury of time to have your argument in thesis. That particular session is just for verification. If you don't add any more unnecessary things, you better just answer what is being asked and what being asked to clarify. That's it. And not to say that, oh no, I disagree with you, Prof. I think that you misread my reading. I think you missed the line. No, don't say that.
Oh, if you say that, you are inviting World War 4, 5, 6, 7,
Don't
8, 9, 10.
don't do like that. Because we are human. You have to understand. Examiners are also human.
Yeah, examiners are human, that's one thing, but you also have to understand that they have probably read more articles than you have read. Correct, Dr. Swaim?
Yeah.
They have read more work than you have read. So when they're giving you a different point of view and you are sticking to your point of view, that means you're not open-minded enough for new knowledge, and that is something that will go against you in a Viva.
Yeah.
Okay, in a proposal defense itself.
Yeah, better don't. But
Yeah,
in
don't start.
local university,
No.
it's a taboo, to disagree with the examiners. This is what I heard. The local lecturer say, we already train our student not to argue with the examiners. So whatever say, yes, Prof. Agree with you. We will discuss. I will discuss with my supervisor about this. Thank you very much, Prof, for your concern. So they appreciate, because this another thing, because they are external, they came to your place, and then they're giving you the opinion. We should celebrate their opinion. Don't like disagree, and then if some people they are using very harsh words, to the examiner until the examiner became unhappy. This also can lead to unnecessary result, to you, not because of your content, but because of your behavior, that you shown not a good behavior as a young scholar to argue with another scholar. So the adab of scholarship also, we don't. That's why we don't blame, we don't downgrade. We don't what you call assertive. We are not assert, but we argue. Argue. That's why we use the term argue, contender, etc. These are, we call, very polite way to to disagree or to put people opinion in different way. That's not to just, oh, do you think you are the best scholar in the world? You are not. Allah is the best, of course. No doubt. Allah is the most knowledgeable, no doubt. No doubt, don't mention that. At least you have to have the adab, adab in knowledge, adab with the scholars, our own lecturers, our own supervisors, and also scholars from other universities. They also scholars. They have their students. So this adapt, knowledge and virtue. That's why we're talking about IUM, knowledge and virtue. A common sense, people in other university, the non-Muslim also, they have also this standard of respect, welcome, knowledge, freedom of expression, and also respect. Not just I'm free to say anything I like, but you could offend others. That's why we need to we have to balance between that knowledge and virtue.
Please take note of that. Okay, and Dr. Swabi keep mentioning that thesis is an argument. When you talk about argument, there's always multiple perspective. Otherwise, there will not be an argument. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to show that you know about the topic,
Multiple
and then
perspective
how
and
people
why,
look at.
yeah, and why you agree with the perspective that you agree without saying that your perspective is the most correct perspective in the entire world now.
Yeah. Don't say I'm the most correct in the world.
Yeah, how you behave, how you conduct yourself during the proposal defense and during the viva will give the indicator how the examiners will respond to you. Either they will give you a small tap, just a slight slap, that will be a minor correction, or they come out with their guns blazing. You know what I mean? We've also in a recent, I was saying I remember the recent viva that I sat in, that's not even a gun that was blazing. I felt as if I was in a building that's being bombed left, right, and center with the student. That's how it feels like there's
Yeah.
nothing. It was so shocking. And I've
Yeah.
been doing this so many years already. Anything else? Is there any other question?
Yeah, we as lecturers, examiners also, we also have to follow the adab as well. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why knowledge is not just one side, that's for everyone. Everyone in the knowledge need to have the adab. That's why we have in Islam we call adab al-ikhtilaf, adab al-ikhtilaf. How to have differences, opinion, but we can agree to disagree. That's the term that we use, right? Agree to disagree. Adabul ikhtilaf.
True. What happened in this viva is not just because the examiner was well, it's not because it changed from a gunfighting to a bomb. That's because the student was insistent that he was correct. Very insistent.
Yeah.
So when he keep insist that he's correct, that's when the bomb started coming in.
Yeah, don't start the bomb. You start the bomb, there will be more bombs coming, and
Yes.
the whole room, perhaps the whole session, whoever lecturers that attended the session also will be joining. They also will. They know nothing about your thesis, but because
But they will also be joining. Yes,
they will be
I
also
remember that.
shooting you.
I remember one incident that reflects to that. Yeah, Dr. Swaimi attended a viva of my student who lasted for 30 minutes. I also have one occasion where the student said that she discussed about philosophy while she was drinking coffee with a friend. You don't discuss about philosophy in a coffee shop. I don't know if you are talking to your friend, that's not what you discuss. It's something that you discuss in a more intellectual basis and whatnot. And after that, I think the whole people who were in academia at that time start coming up with their own bomb until the student cannot answer, because it just doesn't make sense. These are the things that you don't discuss with your friends. Unless it's your academic friend, the same classmates or something.
Yeah, the coffee shop gossip is different.
You remember that event, right? Dr. Swami, coffee shop gossip. The student described that. That was a few years back.
Yeah, so many places there now we have.
Any other questions? No questions?
I can see we have people who wanted to do PhD here. I can see my former MBA student. Are you going to register PBX, Sister Amalina?
On the way, Prof, but not sure whether it's in IUM or Thailand.
Other questions? For those of you who are submitting your thesis for Viva, I do recommend that you ask your supervisor to conduct a mock Viva for you. That's a good session for you to actually have. It will give you basically an overview of how things will pan out when it is in the Viva. But again, the main point of examination in the Viva is the thesis write-up. So the thesis write-up is very important. Okay. Other questions? If we don't have any further questions, we will close this session. Okay, seems like we don't have any other questions here. Okay, thank you for joining us for this session. Thank you, Dr. Suhaimi, who's fresh from the oven today. Experienced the longest Viva today, is it?
Yeah, almost the same, the one, the face-to-face. This one
right.
online 4 hours. The other time also about the same. The only thing that people can shorten the Viva during Friday.
Oh, because of the time limitation that you have.
Because as the examiner wanted to go to masjid, so they make up their mind. Okay, just focus on the key area, and then they also wanted. The chairman also wanted to go to masjid, and then they say, okay, we can't afford to go on. So the brothers need to go to masjid, so we have to end the session. But if the members still wanted to continue, we can come back after the Jumat prayers. But again, all of them, okay, we just go for the substance, and then we leave it to the supervisor to do the correction. After all, we already have the reports. The report can be also helpful to the student and the supervisor, to follow.
Okay. So thank you very much. So we will close this session Okay, just before we go, the next session will be on publishing with Prof. Azhar. Right, thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the best to all of you.